Hi, I'm Nathan, and this is the AR Minute. I'm talking with Jonathan Hale from Wonderland. He's the CEO, CTO, and founder. Let's get into it. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do in the metaverse?
As you mentioned, I'm the CEO, founder, and also the CTO of Wonderland. We built the Wonderland Engine, which is a development platform for VR, AR, and 3D on the web. That means XR apps can be built on web technology, just like websites and web apps can. And you get all the advantages with the web here. And we build a development tool that gives developers the full experience of like optimization and support just in all the tasks needed for building XR apps, just like they are used to on native, but for web.
So why would you want to build something in a web rather than native apps?
The web has like this wonderful on-demand and frictionless nature, so you can just deploy to a website, which also means like you have the control over deployment. You don't have to go to an app store and go through curation, and you can just send out a link to your website, and people can just scan a QR code or open the link on their device, and they can use any device. They can literally go from VR to AR to their mobile phone or even a desktop device, right?
That sounds like that starts to hit at the idea of interoperability that we hear a lot here at AWE. The ability to kind of move between platforms and ideas where and when you want to.
For sure. I think that the web always been like an equalizer, and it's available everywhere. And yeah, that's why web apps work very well.
Do you have a dream for the metaverse?
So my dream is that we're gonna be all working in VR and using AR instead of our phones. And for me, it feels like I really don't know what the metaverse is or what this term means, of course. But for me, it feels like everything's just gonna be spatial because we'll be using these spatial devices anyway. I think they have certain advantages, and the disadvantages currently are all gonna be solved over time. And if we're already in spatial all the time, the web is going to be spatial as well. And as we heard, like it's interoperable. That means it's going to be available on all the devices, and especially for developers, that's just a huge advantage.
Oh, I love it. So as somebody who is really enabling, a broad expansion of metaverse ideas, what's your responsibility for addressing some of the tricky questions that we hear a lot about? Ethics, accessibility, maybe even safety and data privacy. And are there things that you're doing with Wonderland to address them?
I think that any early technology faces issues with anything from ethics to privacy to inclusiveness. So it's a matter of time until we are able to solve all of these issues. Especially on the web, privacy is a very big issue with targeted ads and everything. Everyone wants your data. So especially browser vendors and spec developers pay a lot of attention to how they can protect the privacy of the people browsing the web. And this is exactly the same for WebXR. That is maybe why sometimes the web is a little bit slower to adopt new technologies than maybe just native is directly, but that's because they're more careful in it and need to protect the user, right?
But you're not working from scratch when you're within the ecosystem where you're working.
Exactly, yeah. Luckily, I would say. We also have like nice features in browsers that, for example, help with colorblindness. And I think the web in general is very inclusive because nowadays we have like all of these expensive devices, right? And all of the content gets released on all the expensive devices. But how do we get someone onboarded who might not be able to afford those devices in countries where those devices might not even be available? With the web, you might be able to deploy one experience and it still runs on Google Cardboard, or it runs on just a phone or on just desktop, right?
I love it. Leveraging the power of the web for more accessibility and reach. You're doing fantastic, and we've actually made it to the last question. Congratulations. And it's simply a fill in the blank. The future is?
web, obviously.
I should have known.
I think a lot, even just on normal apps right now, is heading towards web. We recently saw Figma is onboarding creatives onto the web, and it's just more accessible, shareable, just super frictionless, and just a super nice experience for the developer building the application, right? So I believe that in the long term, the web is going to probably be the right place for developers to be for most experiences, especially also in XR.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. Really exciting to see what you're doing with Wonderland, and I can't wait till I get to talk to you again. Thank you.
Thanks, Mason. It's been a blast. I enjoyed it a lot.